This is Unit 2 of my full semester Introduction to Marketing course. This unit is all about brand identity, positioning, and revitalization. The essential question, which is what I hope that my students can answer by the end of this unit, is as follows. How do businesses create a strong brand identity that attracts and keeps the right customers? Additionally, the objective is that students will be able to evaluate how branding, positioning, and customer perception influence business success and recommend improvements to strengthen their brand. And we'll do this with an existing business and revitalization. With all of my units, I provide the teachers out there that are using this curriculum a teacher guide, and it gives you the pacing so you know exactly what to expect on each of the days. We open with a anticipatory set. I have my students take a look at this non-branded cup, and I ask them, what comes to mind first? What brand does this remind you of? And in most cases, depending on where you live, it's commonly going to be Starbucks. And I always say first words only, no explanations, just your immediate reaction. I'm not looking for hands to be raised. I'm looking for people to just blurt this out. And that's almost never the norm. But once they start rattling those things off, you'll see that the entire crowd tends to lean towards it being Starbucks. And then we start talking about expectations versus realities. I show them this quick video of travel expectations versus reality. And it's kind of funny because it's, one of those video clips where you expect this destination that you're going to be serene and empty and nobody else there. And you get to turn the corner and ooh and ah, and all the things are exactly as you've seen them on social media or on the internet. And the reality is it's packed, it's flooded, there's tons of people there in that space. I then have my students start to think about, have they ever seen something online and it looked amazing, but when they got there, it was disappointing? Some examples: food that looked better online, a hotel or Airbnb that looked wonderful on the description, but once you got there, it just was lacking luster. Clothes that are ordered online, a tourist destination, a product from the TikTok shop. And then I follow up with, why does that happen? We continue with the theme of coffee because it's something that many of the students can probably relate to and grasp the concept of the brand identity. This is what the business wants the customer to think. This is how they want you as the consumer to believe that this business is. It's premium, it's trustworthy, it's fast, family friendly, it's luxury and affordable. But the reality of that brand is actually what the customers are thinking. So it's not what the business wants you to think, but rather what you actually think. So brand identity is what the business wants you to think. Brand reality is what you as a consumer actually think. Some examples: maybe it's overpriced, it's outdated, it's cheap, slow, trendy, unreliable. They're not always the same. Now, a business hopes that they're the same, but it's not always going to be consistent. Notice the picture on the left. It's aesthetic, it's clear, there's very few people in there, it's calm, it's collected, versus the image on the right. It's busy, there's a line, it looks a little bit dingy. This is not the expectation nor what the business wants to portray with their marketing. Who is the target market? This is the person that we as a business are trying to reach. So if there was a specific person ideal to shop at, let's say, Costco, it's me. I'm middle-aged with a family with upper middle income, and I like to go shopping there and spend a little bit more money. I also like to spend money on a membership to hopefully avoid some crowds. The target market for your business is, if you were to draw a picture of the exact person that's going to shop at your business, there should be specifics about their age, their income, their interests, their lifestyle, their habits, the problems that they need solved. So it's the specific group of people that a business wants to attract. If you were to think about Starbucks, for example, these are usually going to be considered a target market for Starbucks would be busy adults or students and people that are looking for convenience plus experience, as well as a reliable cup of coffee. And I get my students to finally come up with this question, or answer this question. Why do people still pay more for Starbucks when it may not necessarily be the best coffee? Is it really about the coffee? Students will talk about it. I'll usually think, pair, share this, where they'll think about it for 30 seconds, and I'll actually keep them honest to that full 30 seconds of silence. Then I'll have them pair up, and then they'll share what it is that they had said. And then I'll call on a few students to share out their results as well. This is the idea of positioning, where your brand lives in the customer's mind. For example, my wife loves Starbucks, hates Pete's. It's Frankly, she says it's about the taste, but I think it's about the familiarity of Starbucks and her having that nostalgia, or even possibly just the knowing of exactly what to expect when she walks inside of a Starbucks. So your positioning is, where does your brand live in the customer's mind? Are you a business that has created brand insistence? For example, I know people that will go to a restaurant and order a Coca-Cola, the waiter or waitress will say, we only have Pepsi. And then that person says, I'll just have a water because they are brand insistent to Coca-Cola. So that is the position your business wants to be and where you want to live within your client's headspace. So why should customers choose you instead of the competitors? I show these two varying businesses of which probably look very similar to some other businesses, which I can't show the logos on here of for copyright reasons, but Value Mart versus Trend and Company. You can see one of them is all about saving money and living better. The other one is style meets everyday value. So one you see is really touting that they have low prices every day. They're convenient, wide selection, and it's practical. The other one doesn't really necessarily focus on low price leadership, but rather stylish finds, great experience, quality you can trust, and curated selections. Customers can't explain why you are different if I'm sorry, if customers can't explain why you are different, your positioning is weak. You should be able to, as a customer, rattle off exactly why it is that that business is different. What is their competitive advantage? What makes them unique? What makes them stand out? And if they can't, then your positioning would be weak. So, what does it mean to revitalize a brand? This is where we go into a business, we look at their positioning, and we might even say, hey, this positioning doesn't align with their target market or the new market that they're trying to acquire. And this is the idea of us taking a business from before and then shifting it to an after. So, when a business feels old or outdated or ignored, what are the things that we need to change first? So, it doesn't have to be these items, but I get students to think about, is it the logo? Is it the slogan, the store design, social media, customer experience, or more? All right, for this slide here, we're talking about brand revitalization, and we're doing this in a case study style. So you're the marketing consultant. I'll break my students into groups, and I will have the groups look at each business and decide what feels outdated, why are younger customers not connecting, what should change first, and how would you modernize the brand? You are not creating a new business, you are improving an existing one. So you've got to think like a marketer and fix the brand. Here we go. First one up is the Main Street Diner. The current situation, it's family owned for 30 plus years, same look, logo, and interior. It's mostly older customers with low social media presence. They're struggling to compete with newer restaurants. Your goal with your table group is to attract high school and college students, increase weekend traffic, and build a stronger social media presence. I'm looking for you to make 3 recommendations of revitalization ideas and what should change first. Remembering we don't want to get rid of our existing clients that have been coming here for the past 30 years. We just want a revitalization. I give my students time to come up with this, usually maybe 3 to 4 minutes to discuss. They'll jot down a list. And then to incentivize my students, I may even throw candy at the groups that come up with participation that meets the expectation. I'm not going to go through each of these next case study scenarios, but this will take some time. Trendsetter apparel, so they have to revitalize this business. Same thing with the Putt Putt Palace. And then once we've completed those case studies, we shift into another day, and this is where we would perform a brand audit. So pretend that you are a marketing agency that's hired to improve the brand of a business. Before you improve a business, you need to understand what's wrong with it first. First thing we need to do is identify who is the current customer. What feels outdated? What is hurting the brand? And what do customers think first? Why might younger customers not connect with this business? And so to make this realistic, I have my students pick a local business here within the community that I live in. And so let's say the local restaurant, the local family owned restaurant. And as a class, we will audit one part of a local business's digital presence in table groups. So it's a jigsaw activity so we can conquer more work in a shorter amount of time. And so I'll assign one table group Google reviews. The next one is Yelp. The next one is website. Next one is Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, so on and so forth. And if I have some repeats, I may actually recycle that through and give another group a second run at it. So the questions I want them to answer is what feels strong, what feels outdated, what would how would younger people connect, and what should they improve first, and be ready to present their findings. This is maybe 2 minutes of research for them. And then we come back collectively and we get all that feedback for that one business in just a short amount of time because all the groups took a different role on here. Now that we've audited a business, now they need to think about the business they have chosen to pursue for the full semester. If you're just looking at this content for the first time and you're only using this as a one-off unit, then have your students pick whatever business it is of their choosing. If you're doing the full semester curriculum, then they want to pick a business that they'll follow through for the whole semester long as we revitalize its brand and social media and marketing campaign and presence in its entirety. But if you're just doing this for a single unit, just pick any local business. Ideally, pick one that has poor website presence and poor digital presence. Otherwise, it becomes complicated to make it better if it's already pretty well done. So choose a business to revitalize. The it could be a real local business. It could be a bigger business, but the bigger businesses usually have pretty solid digital presence. Or just think of a brand that you think could be improved. Then identify who is their current target customer, what feels outdated or weak, what might turn younger customers away, what is this business known for right now, and what should change first. Your job is to fix the brand, not start over. We're revitalizing it. Now that you've audited the business, what do you do next? So we've looked at the current brand, we've reviewed their digital presence, we've considered customer perception, we've noticed what feels outdated and identified what needs improvement. We need to start asking questions. What's helping the business succeed? What is hurting the business the most? And what should be fixed first? If you're a student that is pursuing business, this may not be the last time that you'll hear of a SWOT analysis. In fact, if you end up doing a business degree, you will do many SWOT analyses in your career as a marketer or business person. The SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So before you change the brand, we need to see if other customers agree first. So before we get to that SWOT analysis, we want to actually do some deeper research. And this market research we'll perform, excuse me, is by asking 3 to 5 potential customers. Since our target market is younger generation, I'll have my students ask other students, what is their first impression of the business? Would they shop there? Why or why not? What feels outdated or weak? What would make you more interested? Would somebody your age choose this business? Why or why not? Good marketing starts with listening. So you want to do this market research up front to understand what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, maybe some opportunities or threats, which gets us into that SWOT analysis. What helps the brand and what hurts it? The strengths are what already works. Weaknesses are what feels outdated or weak. Opportunities are what could be improved. And the threats are what competitors or other challenges exist. So for the SWOT analysis, we want to take all of those components and we'll do this in a table format. We're turning our observations into a strategy so that it'll help us focus on what matters the most. It helps us organize what we've discovered during our audit so we can make better marketing and business decisions. As we complete this SWOT analysis, it will then allow us to figure out who should the revitalization target. We want to remember that the business is improving for their current customers, but at the same time, also trying to shift towards a new audience. Or maybe it's one or the other, but oftentimes it's a blend of both. So, which strategy makes the most sense for your business? And you need to be able to defend that answer. Perhaps it's even a blend. Now we want to define our target customer. Perhaps it's the existing clients with the addition of new ones. You want to start thinking about those different target customers. We want to be specific. The more that we know about our customer, the better we can meet their needs. Are they college students? Are they young professionals, families, high school students, empty nesters, or active adults? If I tried to market to all of these people, then I'm marketing to really nobody. So this is something that we want to be able to polish and use towards our final marketing project. So if you can't reach the right customers until you know exactly who they are. With that said, as we've identified our new target market, we want to now create a brand new campaign theme. So if our business is changing, what should the new brand feel like? Is it modern, family friendly? Is it premium, affordable, local, fun, professional, luxury, convenient, high energy? The big takeaway from this slide right here, this is step 2 continued. We want to come up with a slogan and we want to come up with a new campaign theme. The campaign is effectively the idea of us saying, we are making a transition. We are shifting our focus from here's where we were to here's where we want to be. And this is how we're doing it. It's the story that we tell to create the new identity of this business. And the slogan should be short and punchy, and it should be something that attracts your customers' attention. Think about, for example, McDonald's, I'm loving it. Nike's, just doing it. I'm sorry, just do it. Step 3, Now we need to make some smart decisions. This is where we come up with our priorities for revitalization. If we could only fix three things, what would they be? And it's not limited to this list, but these would be possible priorities to consider: social media presence, website updates, logo refresh, store appearance, customer experience, brand messaging, pricing strategy, promotions or offers, community reputation, online reviews. Strong businesses prioritize. They focus first, they improve next, and then they grow always. Not everything can change at once. Prioritizing helps us use our time, money, and energy where it will have the biggest impact. So we want to be very strategic with this. With that strategy, we want to be able to defend it too. Why did they matter? We chose our top three priorities. Now we need to explain why these are the right moves for this business. So why will these changes help? How will this attract the target customer? How will this improve the customer experience? How will this strengthen the brand? How will this increase sales or engagement? Smart marketing solves real problems. I list my top three priorities from that last slide and explain the why behind them. Now that I have the campaign created, the why behind my intentions and the method and this marketing campaign, it's time to come up with a way of pitching this in an eloquent way to a future potential investor. So imagine you stepped into an elevator with the owner of the business that you are trying to revitalize, and you only have 30 to 45 seconds before they walk away. How would you convince them that your revitalization plan will actually improve their business? Well, you're the marketing consultant, and that's the role that you're taking on for the full semester with my semester curriculum, is that you're this marketing consultant that is helping the business revitalize their entire digital space and their marketing presence. So your job is to pitch your revitalization plan to convince the business owner that your strategy will work. You're not selling a new business, you are fixing an existing one. You are to explain to them what is currently hurting the brand, who the business should target, the top three priorities, why these changes should happen first, and how your plan will improve the business, all within 30 to 45 seconds. Because this can be daunting, I've given students a sentence frame structure here that they can use to build their script. Right now, the business is struggling with, I recommend targeting so and so because my top three priorities are blank, blank, and blank. These changes matter because my plan will improve the business by, and the goal for this, for a strong pitch, is to be clear and confident, focus on the big problems, explain your top three priorities, share the impact of your plan, and practice to stay within a short amount of time before you lose your audience's attention. Clear ideas, confident delivery equal a strong impact. Now we talk about, how do you practice a pitch? Write your elevator pitch on a note card, read it 3 times silently, make edits on a new note card, then read it 3 times silently, and then I have you practice it 3 times orally with a partner. I know this sounds long-winded. This could almost be an entire class session right here alone, but this will improve your students' elevator pitches. We take that pitch activity, they present their elevator pitch to a partner, they listen, they ask questions, they give feedback. Usually I'll use some kind of a like wonder type of protocol where they say, I like this about your pitch, I wonder this about your pitch. And then they use that feedback to improve and make the pitch stronger. They practice, pitch, improve. The final project connection, this is the full unit with real world marketing. The work that you do in this unit becomes part of the final marketing project. If you're completing this for the full semester, if you're doing it only for this unit, then you will have a complete brand revitalization strategy to present to your business if you are actually doing this in a project-based learning setup. If you are completing the full semester, you've completed a number of different slides from the final slide template that you will also find in the final curriculum I've provided you with. Great marketers research, plan, and present with impact. I give my students an opportunity to do an exit ticket. Their feedback helps refine future instruction. What helped them learn most in this unit? What is still unclear? And what is one suggestion for next time? Thanks for using this resource. You can check out more of my items on Teachers Pay Teachers. I genuinely believe we are teaching the most valuable classes on campus. Do check out my other social media channels, and thanks so much for watching this video through.